Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. We are pleased to be joined by Andy Lally, of course, who will be driving in the 44 GTD for Magnus Racing, along with his longtime co-driver John Potter. How's it going?
Hey, Casey, it's going all right. We're just getting ready to pack up the car and head down to Daytona and get this 24-hour race underway.
Okay, so how many Rolexes is this for you?
So actually, that's a cool. I learned a cool stat last week. JJ O'Malley and I were talking, and he said this year I'm going to break Hurley Haywood's record for most ever consecutive Rolex 24. So this will be my 21st consecutive. I've got a few more under that. I missed the race in 03. No, 02 or 03. I missed the race. But yeah, it's been a lot of years. It's been really cool.
Yeah.
Very fortunate guy.
Yeah, so that's actually really, really exciting. To been doing this race for so long, you know how this race works and all that. Of course, when you're out there, that you never know when you might get that knock on the door at 2 a.m. All right, it's your turn. Go out there. We'll make some good laps. What's that
That
like?
happens.
What's that like driving all the way at doing that stint in the middle of the night? Like for people that might not have watched this race, what is it like racing at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m.?
So typically in my position where I am in the rotation, the toughest part of this thing is like you wake up early Saturday morning. The race isn't going green till 2 o'clock. So you're at a minimum, you're up 6 hours before a 24-hour race. And then you get all psyched up, you get that first stint in, you get a double in, you get 2 hours, you're like, all right, get out of the car, you're like, I'm good, get some water, get some food, talk to your engineer, like, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna rest, chill, eat a little food, send it, get back out. Second time out there, you're like, okay, cool. You finish it up, you're like, I'm a little tired, but I'm good, I'm fine, I'm good, and then like at that point, it's probably around, if you're on a 3 or 4 driver rotation, it's probably around 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's like maybe you went to sleep for like 45 minutes and maybe it's like 35 degrees out because we get some cold nights at Daytona. And when you get woken back up after like a 35-minute nap or something, that is the hard one. That third stint, which is usually between 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. ish, where you've just gotten like a little bit of sleep. That's tough because you get out of the trailer, you're cold as heck. You're like usually walking or you're on a golf cart ride back to pit lane and you're groggy just from a nap. And in like under half an hour, you're going to be doing 180 miles an hour on the banking and in the dark, 2 or 3 wide. Sometimes it's raining. That's a tricky one. That's where the training and like you being smart when you get out of the car to hydrate properly and eat properly so that you've digested enough and you've absorbed enough water and the nutrients to electrolytes, everything that you need to be hydrated, awake, and aware to go out and try to be as fast as you can and not make a mistake. That's where the payoff is. Once the sun comes up, your body kind of re-energizes a little bit and you've got the sun in your eyes and your body naturally wakes up a little bit. But that 2 to 5 a.m. you get caught with a double or a triple in there, that's a tough one.
Yeah, for sure. This race, of course, with the team that you have, who's with you this year?
So John Potter, who's been my teammate for the last 11 years, and then some actually a little bit. And then Spencer Pompelli is coming back with us again. And that will be our endurance team for all the endurance races. I think John and I will do a couple sprint races at least on top of that. And then we've got Nicky Tim, who is a factory Aston Martin driver. I'm referring to him as GT Jesus because my engineer says he's God. So I think he is going to lend a lot of knowledge to the team, to Spence and I. I mean, we've been driving the car enough now to have a pretty good understanding of it. But as one of their probably, if not the most popular or highest ranking factory driver, it'll be good to have that guy on. And I'm sure he'll be blazing quick and intelligent with the car to help us get that set up further and further along, so it's just easier to drive.
Can you believe that you've been doing this for this long? 21 years. This is your 21st Rolex.
21st Rolex. My first time down there was in 96, so a long time ago. My first win was in 2001, 22 years ago. So it's been pretty crazy. It's actually been pretty wild. So I can't complain. It's been I've been a pretty lucky guy.
Yeah. Going into this weekend, just all the excitement around with the cars and stuff there. The GTD field, nothing's changed about that. It's a big field, a lot of cars, a lot of competitive cars. What's it going to be like this year in the GTD class?
We've got a little over more than 10% more cars from even last year. Our class, the GTD class, is always the biggest class in the field every year, hands down by almost double every time. I think there's 9 GTP cars, 10 LMP2 cars, 9 LMP3 cars, and 9 GTD Pro cars, and then you've got 25 GTD cars. So you've got everything from ex Formula One drivers to even I think there was a current Formula One driver. If what's his face? His son doesn't. If Jan's son doesn't have the hand surgery or something, yeah. So you've got ex IndyCar drivers. You've got some of the best endurance sports car drivers from around the planet that land in GTD. So it is always a battle and always very, very tough to be at the sharp end of that grid.
Yeah. So of course, this is all. I know you'll have a busy schedule as always. Of course, dabble in with the NASCAR side of things. We also saw you on television a couple times last year. I know how much you love doing that TV stuff. What makes doing television so fun?
To be honest, the first time I went to do it, which was the Coda Xfinity race, I'd done some small stuff. I commentated a Continental race a long time ago, Michelin Cup now, and a couple of little things here and there. I helped with a Trans Am race on the PA and stuff like that. But I did not expect, and so I was looking forward to doing the truck race at Coda. I thought it was going to be a really neat thing. My buddy Mark Smith called me up from Fox, and he's like, "Hey, we're going to try something new. We'd like to see if you're interested." Essentially, what we normally have is a cup guy that's got a lot of experience at whatever truck track we're going to help commentate and be the third behind Vince and Michael Waltrip in the truck race. But none of these guys have ever raced at Coda before. So I suggested, hey, I know a guy who does NASCAR and has raced here a lot. And I thought of you. And I was like, I was flattered. I was like, absolutely, I'm in. This sounds really neat. But I thought it would be just that, really neat. And then I'd be like done with it. But I was really drawn in straight away by and fascinated really by everything that was going on behind the scenes. It gave me a completely new realization of how tricky Michael and Vince's job is, how cool the guys in the booth have to be, and how quick they have to be, like Mark and everybody that's behind the scenes there. So seeing everything behind the scenes, and then watching it play out, and then watching the race after, and seeing how smooth Vince is with his intros and outros, and Mikey, who intentionally kind of comes off as like a little goofy, but really once the camera's off, he's always very witty, but he kind of puts a spin on it. But he's actually a pretty smart guy and knows his stuff. And was the other thing, both of them, both Vince and Michael, were both very helpful to me, giving me tips and helping me flow. And everything from blocking to how we kind of give each other cues so that our flow is continuous and we're not stepping on each other. I get all hyped up and I'm looking out the window at the front straight of Lakota and then looking at one monitor over here, and I interrupt Vince and I interrupt Michael, and I'm jumping all around because I'm just excited, and I'm calling it like I'm sitting in my living room with a bunch of buddies. And at the end, I'm like, I'm sorry. And they're like, no, it's fine. They're like, you tone it down like 1% and pay attention and stop calling them cars instead of trucks. Mark would break my chops a little bit. And we got this. We got a good direction here. So I loved that. I love the continuity and how we meshed together, everybody there, and was really appreciative of that. And I left on that first weekend, and I'm like, wow, I just wasn't expecting to want to dive in that deep, and I loved it. And I've wanted to do it as much as I've wanted to go racing now. It's crazy. It was very fun. So I'm hoping I can get a chance to do more of it.
Yeah. You did get, well, might as well talk about this too. I know you called the Mid-Ohio truck race last year. That was like the first time the trucks were ever at Mid-Ohio. I was actually there in person. What was that like? Just like, I know that the trucks are going back there again this year, but just how exciting is that race? Because Mid-Ohio is just a fun racetrack to race on.
It's a fun racetrack in sports cars. It's a really fun racetrack in stock cars. So I've done a bunch of years of Xfinity there. I got my first ever top 5 in NASCAR there. And to know the trucks were going there, I was like, oh, this is going to be a brawl. This is going to be a lot of fun. And these guys are always, they're always on it. They're always battling, and they're always like, just drive the snot out of that thing. And they was. I mean, we were seeing a lot. It was a lot of fun in practice, watching those guys go at it, and then just see how everything developed through the race, and see an underdog, see Parker come through, who's a great road course driver. Parker and I raced against each other. Parker's first road course in a stock car was one of my first stock car road courses too. We raced each other in the 2009 ARCA race at New Jersey Motorsports Park, and I was on pole, and he was outside pole, and he was a bit of a surprise. Scott Speed, he outqualified Scott Speed. Scott was third, and there was a couple of other decent guys in that field. It was a fun battle. So I've known, for years, over a decade, that Parker's very, very solid on the road courses and has a very good mind to get that car set up right. But yeah, that was an awesome battle all the way through. From first to 15th was a battle, and then what's always also entertaining, maybe for it's like the people that go to the oval tracks to watch the crashes. There's people that tune into NASCAR when they're on road courses to watch the mayhem that ensues from the guys that aren't on road courses that much, and that's entertaining as well. So Mid-Ohio sets the stage for really good racing in regard to that.
Yeah, it does, and it'll be fun to watch. Can't wait to go back down there. I know the trucks and ARCA will be back down there once again. For sure. Do you plan to do any NASCAR racing next year?
I hope so. To be honest, right now, I mean, I have no real sponsors. I've got a couple little guys here and there, and some friends that help out. But at the moment, the dollars that a lot of those teams are asking for are big. So I imagine if I can't find a commentating gig of some sort, that in reality, what will take place is, I'll be there, helmet in hand, at the last minute when something falls through for somebody, and maybe I'll hop in a car too. So we'll see.
All right. And lastly, I've asked everybody this I've talked to, what's it going to take to win the Rolex 24?
It takes a lot of things. It takes a lot of things, buddy. You've got to have an amazing team that has taken the time to prep a very strong and well-built car. You have to have a strategist that is employing and paying attention to everything all the time, because when you have a 25 car field stacked with factory drivers and 8 or 9 different manufacturers, you cannot be off that much, or you're going to be a lap down. And once you go a lap down, once you're more than 6 hours into the 24-hour race, everyone's on different strategies. So you're not going to like jump somebody because every like 95% of the field is pitting here. It's like everybody's off sequence all the time. So you'd have to drive through them on speed. And so not losing a lap, being smart, being quick, working with all the drivers working in tandem with each other to get the car quick, to sacrifice enough between each other so that you've got a quick car across the board. And then after that, the drivers can't make mistakes. The crew can't make mistakes. You have to be mistake free. You have to be at 99.9%. It's no longer this like dial it back 2 seconds and cruise around for 24 hours and wait for everybody to break. It's a sprint race from the drop of the green to the checker. You can leave 0.1% on the table if you've done all your homework up to that and kind of keep the leaders in view and run top 5, top 10. But if you want to win that race, it's going to take a little luck. In addition to all of that, you've got to have luck that you stay out of the way from what will inevitably be some guys overdriving and you get collected in something. So just like on the ovals, the same thing can happen on the road courses. You get somebody that late breaks down the inside, a prototype on cold tires, or a GT car that's got an ABS failure, 20 other different scenarios, whether it's wet, dry, damp, whatever. You're just trying to keep the contact down to zero and not pound it too hard off the curbs and the potholes on the backside of those curbs. So there's a lot that has to go into being perfect for 24 hours, and that's tough.
All right. Well, Andy Lally, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. Best of luck for Rolex 24, and we'll talk to you later on in the year.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Have fun, Casey.